Hello, you're listening to the No Filter podcast. Real stories that you won't be able to stop listening to. I'm your host, Mia Friedman. When self-described crap housewife journalist and presenter Jessica Rowe told everyone that she'd be leaving her job as co-host on Studio 10 to spend more time with her daughters, Allegra and Giselle, people lost their minds. Oh my God, how they lost their minds. Because when a high-profile woman leans out of her job, even if it's just temporarily, it seems like the decision is being made on behalf of all women. Suddenly there are think pieces about what it means for feminism, what it means for working mothers, what it means for staying home mothers, but it's not always that simple. So how did Jess know when it was time to lean out from her job and into her family? How far is she going to lean? And is it anyone's business? And what does she have planned next? Here's Jess Rowe, my favourite snort laugher of all time. Jess, what's for dinner at your house tonight?
Oh, I don't know. What is for dinner? I've just gone, I do have a barbecue chook in the fridge, so might use that, I think.
What will you do with it?
Just cut it up.
Will you make it hot?
No. Because if it's microwaved, it then gets even drier.
Oh, it shows you know more than me.
So it might be a cool, I could say it's a trendy sort of tasting plate. Yeah. Is it like do you say a poke bowl or a poke bowl or something?
I used to say to my kids, it's a picnic plate, which means it's just all random shit on a plate.
But my daughters, they're so used to it. They like things just in little sections. They don't like it mixed. So that works a treat as well. So I cut up the chicken. Yeah. There's some mayonnaise in the corner. Some carrot, peel some carrot, cut the carrot up, cherry tomatoes and some avo. And then I'll get a breadstick, cut that up with some butter. Gourmet.
That's amazing. And do you and Pete eat the same thing?
Do you know, my poor husband, he now orders in like special food.
Uber Eats. Saved his life.
Well, not quite Uber Eats. It's sort of a food delivery service. So on a Monday, a little box arrives and that's Petey's food because he got to the point, he said, "Pussycat, I'm so sorry, but I can't just keep eating pasta and bolognese and then often he'd have Vita-Wheats and cheese because he'd be so hungry because there wouldn't be enough left for him in the fridge. So it's actually a win-win. He gets a proper meal and the girls and I are happy.
Do you all eat together?
No, because Petey, he reads the news, so he's not home until about 7:45 at night. So the girls and I will have our dinner 5:30, 5:45.
Isn't it funny how you just become a nana as you get older?
I love eating early
So
though.
do I.
I love it.
Oh, me too.
Yeah. And also we're a bit naughty. We often eat in front of the telly.
Yeah.
I know there's all that stuff you read about, have to sit down together as a family and talk, which we do. We talk a lot.
But sometimes you can talk in front of the telly.
Well, that's right. And we do talk a lot anyway. There's plenty of opportunities for chat. If anything, my daughter's sometimes like, "Mum, yes, we know, just don't talk anymore. Please be quiet."
How did Crap Housewife come about?
I love being a crap housewife, and it's really taken me by surprise how it has resonated with so many women. And I love that because I'm such a fan of women and supporting women for all the different choices that we make. I think it's now so harder than ever, harder than in our mum's generation to balance it all, because there's this ridiculous, stupid pressure that we put on ourselves first and foremost to be perfect, to have your life going swimmingly, to have your career going a million miles an hour, to have the best sex life, to have the tidiest house, to have the most beautifully behaved children, to be a gourmet chef and to have dinner parties and all of that. The idea of hosting a dinner party, I feel like nervous in the stomach. It's just hell for me. And I just thought, no, I'm not the only one who is not good at a whole lot of these things. And it began as a bit of a joke, really. There's a great woman, Lauren Sams, who's an author and journalist, and we met up in Brisbane a number of years ago, and we were just talking about, as you do, what you were cooking for dinner, what your kids are up to. And she said to me, do you know there are some women who post what they pack for their kids' lunch? And I went, no, surely not. She said, yes, have a look. And you know what? If you like to do that, all power to you. I'm not judging. I'm not saying don't make pretty lunches for your kids. But I looked on these various Instagram sites and there were pirate sandwiches and all these really fancy schmancy but exhausting looking things. And I thought, you're really not either doing yourself or other women a favour by saying, look at what I did for my children today. We're all doing our best. So I said to Lauren, I said, you know what? I'm actually going to start posting what I cook, what I really cook, and just see what happens. And I'm not even see what happens. I just said, well, I'm going to do what show people what I cook. So it was bolognese, burnt sausages, toast, whatever. And it started to resonate. And, you know, people would say, oh, what a relief, this is what I cook. Or have you tried this? Why don't you try mince this way? I'm always on the lookout for mince recipes.
Oh.
You know, mince is a very underrated ingredient, I think.
So, I mean, I can't cook either. And there's a sense of internalized shame, I think, about not being able to cook and provide Instagram-worthy meals or even meals for your family. And I once heard it say that, not in relation to cooking, but in relation to everything, shame can't exist where there's empathy. So by putting it out there and having everyone say, oh my gosh, me too, did that help you as well as helping them?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. For me, it was very much something that I wanted to do because I still question if I'm good enough, if I'm doing the right thing, if I'm present enough, if I'm disciplining my daughters enough, if I'm setting a good enough example, all of these things. So absolutely. But as I get older, I've realised I've embraced my vulnerability and my hopelessness at certain things, and I suppose my quirkiness and being a little eccentric, because as my dear husband says to me, I think the older I get, the more those sorts of traits of mine become more apparent. But I don't care about that anymore. I spent so much of my early life trying to live up to this expectation of what I should be and how I should behave, and now I don't care.
It's quite delightful,
or I care
isn't
less.
It?
I care less.
How old are you, Jess?
I'll be 48 in June.
It's the best part of ageing that no one tells you about, isn't it?
I love it.
Have you found that your 40s are different in that regard, that you just care less about what other people think?
I love being 40 and sort of older. I can't wait to be 50 because I think, I cannot wait. 40s have been my best decade by far. In my teenage years, it's so angsty. I would not want to go back there for anything. So that was angsty. In my 20s, I was trying to work out who I was. I was with all the sorts of wrong people and sort of growing, but really thinking I knew it all and I knew nothing. In my 30s, I was determined to carve out a career and be successful, and I still wasn't married. I wasn't a mum. There were all these sorts of big question marks over what has happened to my life. And then it all slowly started to fall together. And then come 40 and beyond, it's fabulous. It is freeing. And I feel it's a wonderful place to be. And again, as I mentioned at the start, all this pressure that I know I put on myself, and that is now disappearing. And I love that. I love feeling freer.
How did you and Pete meet?
We met many, many years ago initially I was doing work experience, and Petey was a sports reporter at Channel 9. And
How old were you?
I was at uni. Oh. Yeah, so I was 19.
Yeah, all right.
19,
legal. You were legal.
19. Yeah, 19. Petey, what is Petey? 52. So what's that? 5 years older than me. So he was early 20s, but he seemed that much older. He was far more together. We were on very different paths. I just remember thinking, what a together guy, and he was very generous with work experience, because as many people know, when you do work experience, normally you put in the corner and you read the newspaper and think, will someone talk to me? And Petey actually took me out on stories, encouraged me to write and just to feel a part of the newsroom. And then we went our separate ways. I went to uni.
Talking about it now, did he have the hots back then?
No, not at all.
Really?
No.
Really?
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. No.
He was just kind. He's a very
kind
man.
Yes,
yeah.
he was kind. No, he didn't at all, because, again, we were in... It's such I was wearing overalls. I was wearing denim overalls and just not remotely sort of, No, Petey is conservative. He's probably less conservative, but he still is conservative. At that point, I was not the sort of girl that would turn his eye. I didn't have a blonde bob. I wasn't wearing pearls. I didn't have loafers. I wasn't.
Well, as opposed to you now.
Exactly.
I'm looking at you now and your hair's pink and you've got sparkly eyeshadow on and a big leopard coat.
When I left home this morning, because we were crossing paths, because he hates it that I colour my hair, but he's just accepted it. He's like, oh, pussycat. He's like, and because I do it myself, he's like, the back's all patchy. And I said, well, that's all right. At least I'm like a leopard. I could be a pink leopard. And then he went, oh, you still look beautiful. I said, oh, thanks, Petey. So
he was not on the make back then. He just showed you round.
Not at all. And then a number of years later, many years later, I was working at Channel 10, reading the news for them, and I went to the Logies. And at the time I was dating someone.
Fancy.
Very fancy.
Fancy.
This knob of a guy. And I don't know where he was off doing something at the Logies, and I was talking to Petey. I'd managed to sneak my way into the Channel 9 party, and Petey came up and said, oh, would you like champagne? I said, oh, that'd be so nice. He gave me a champagne. And
Did
we
he
just
remember
chatted.
you?
Yes, he did. Yeah. I don't know if he was pretending to remember me, but he was being lovely. And as we were talking, I was thinking, why can't I meet a nice man like this? Why am I not attracting really good, decent people like this beautiful man? And it was a lovely night, and off we were just chatting, and off I went and off he went. And then, not surprisingly, the relationship I was in came to an end. And I was despairing, because I really, at that point, what was I, maybe 32? I think now, 32. Yeah, 32. Everyone around me was either in long-term partnerships, married, pregnant, about to have babies, and here I was single, thinking, this wasn't what I planned. Why is no one asking me out? Why then, when I go out with people, they're just so the wrong types? And because I'm someone who I've always worn my heart on my sleeve, probably too much when it would come to relationships, and I'd just get myself hurt time and time again. So here I was again, single, thinking, oh, what's going to go on? What's happening to me? And one of my lovely friends, who was a rugby league reporter, Tony Peters is his name, and he also worked at Channel 10, and we'd have a coffee most days, and he called me Bombshell, and he had this quite high-pitched voice, and, oh, Bombshell, what's going on, you've got to, surely there's someone. And because we'd have a coffee, I'd say, oh, no, there's no one. He said, oh, come on. And I said, oh, who does seem really nice? Peter Overton. And Tony went, oh, I know him, I'll ring him. And I said, no, you won't. He said, yeah, leave it to me, I'll ring him. So after we'd had our coffee, we went back into the newsroom, and I look across, it was a big open plan newsroom, and there's Tony on the phone. He'd rung Peter. Unbeknownst to me, Tony had to convince Peter to take me out.
Oh, no.
Yes, I didn't know this, though, thank God, at the time. And because,
why did he have to convince him?
Well, because Petey had just started on 60 Minutes. He'd probably been there 6 months. And he was, it was an amazing job for him. He was travelling the world. He had been married before. He was divorced. He just was...
I didn't know he'd been married before.
Yeah.
Kids? No.
No kids. And he just was really... No, he wasn't in that headspace. And so, again, unbeknownst to me, Tony said to Peter, oh, come on, mate. And Tony hadn't spoken. I didn't know any of this either. Tony hadn't spoken to Peter for probably 5 years. And so So Peter's like, hello. And Tony's like, hey, it's Tony Peters here. And he's like, right. And then Tony goes, what's your status? And Peter went, I beg your pardon. Well, are you seeing anyone? And Peter went, no. And then he said, do you know Jessica Rowe? And Peter went, yes. What about taking her out? And Peter went, oh, no, listen, she seems really nice, but no, it's really not. And so this conversation went on and on. And Tony says to Peter, oh, come on, mate, just do me a favour. She'll probably end up with the local barrister. Just take her out. She's a bit sad at the moment. And Peter went, oh, okay. All right, I will, but she has to ring me.
Oh.
So Tony comes across the newsroom half an hour later, does not, to his credit, say any of that to me. He goes, bombshell, he'd love to take you out, but here's his number, give him a ring. So I thought, damn it, I will ring, because I'd asked blokes out before. Sometimes you have to. So I rang Petey, and I'll never forget, he said to me, I like your style. I went, oh, phew. And he said, so, yes, Tony's been talking to me. And I said, yes, I know he has. Well, what do you think? Should we go out to dinner? And Peter went, yep, love to take you out. I'm home this weekend. We'll go out to a Thai restaurant. I'll pick you up at this time, blah, blah, blah. So he did. And it was a lovely night. At the end of the evening, he reminds me I made him get a parking ticket, but then he dropped me home, and then he said nothing happened, of course, and he said, listen, I'm
Why,
going.
Of course. Why, of course?
Because I'm protecting Petey. Because no, not protecting him.
You are married now.
I know I'm married now, but he often gets cross with me for saying too much.
You didn't even have a sneaky pash.
No way. No, it was just a kiss on the cheek. No, it was. It was a kiss on the cheek. It was. And he said, oh, lovely night. I'm going away for a story, but I'll ring you when I'm back. And I thought, yeah, here we go, sure. But he did. And what was so beautiful, that following, I think it was a week or a fortnight later when he rang, it was my birthday. And he said, what are you doing this Saturday night? And I said, well, it's my birthday. I'm going out with my girlfriends. And he said, oh, can I come? And I went, oh, my God.
Bold move.
Yeah, wasn't it?
I like that.
Yeah, and I was so touched. And so he said, yeah, I'd love to come along. And so he picked me up. But what was hilarious was, because he wasn't used to my style at that point, I decided for my birthday I'd dress as a mermaid. So,
of course you did.
Yeah, so a friend of mine made me this beautiful blue mermaid dress that had these like sequin sort of tendrils like a tail and all this sort of stuff, and a big sort of sparkly rosette on my shoulder. It was asymmetrical. And then another friend did my makeup. Blue, was lovely blue eyeshadow and sparkles and big false lashes, and my hair was everywhere. And Petey in his lovely R.M. Williams boots and polo shirt and jeans.
He's so straight, he went 80s.
Oh, he is. And he opened the door to get me because he was picking me up. He said, I'll pick you up, I'll take you in. And he went, you look breathtaking. Because he didn't know what to say, because he was so like, what do I say to this crazy
Did she forget to tell me the dress code was fancy dress? Exactly. Under the sea theme.
I was the only one in the under the sea theme, mind you. But when it's your birthday, I think
go all out.
Yeah, you got to have an outfit. And so we went to dinner. Petey, myself, with probably maybe there was 15 of us, all women bar my brother-in-law, I think. And what was so funny, everyone was like interviewing Petey and getting very excited, and I'm going, just can we all settle down? Like whenever he go to the bathroom, they'd be like, oh, he's great. I'm saying, this is only the second date.
Day.
Can we please just relax here?
I hope you got a kiss for your birthday at least.
No, I didn't.
God.
No, but that's okay. No, I didn't. We made up for that soon after, but
good.
But yeah, but it took time because Petey, he was travelling a lot with his work. He was anxious about committing again, in terms of he'd been married before, divorced, and was thinking, do I really want to go down this path again? Whereas I knew when I met Petey, and as we, progressively got to know each other more and more, I knew that he was the man for me. I knew it. But there were times when I would think, I'd get so frustrated. And I remember walking with him along Avoca Beach, and we were having this long discussion, and I remember saying, listen, I can't wait forever. And, I'm of an age where it's probably the worst thing to possibly do in terms of putting pressure on a bloke. But I really wanted to make it clear to him that I wanted a family. I wanted to get married. I wanted a life, and I wasn't going to wait around. And I remember though we were walking, and he couldn't at that point say, commit to me then. And it was that
because he wasn't ready.
He wasn't ready. And it was that real moment, that sense of, what do I do?
How long had you been together by that stage?
Oh, maybe a year, 18 months.
So when you say the commitment, you wanted to get married, essentially.
Yes.
Were you living together by then?
No, we didn't live together until when
after you were engaged?
Yeah, after we were engaged. Well, not even then. I think we didn't really start. When did we? I'm just trying to think when we bought our house. Yes, that was when we were engaged. So, yes, we moved in when we were engaged. And so we were together for, I think, 3 years before we got engaged. And I remember too, we went to Paris on this beautiful holiday. I was so excited. I was convinced that was when Petey was going to propose. So I'd sort of I'd dress up and sort of drape myself on the various bridges like, this is the moment. Here I am. Oh, look, here we are. Oh, look, here we are at the cafe, with our elbows on the table, looking, going, this is it. This is the moment. No, it wasn't the moment. None of those moments. Because he very much was determined to do it on his terms, because he was saying, no, it's too cliche. He told me all this later.
Yeah.
Too cliched. I'm not going to propose in Paris. Whereas, his family, my family, everyone was expecting. No, it didn't happen. And then I remember another weekend we went away up to Queensland to stay at the Versace Hotel, which I thought was so fancy, a bit over the top for Petey. And I was sitting in the foyer going, oh, isn't this lovely, and dressed up,
could this
waiting.
be the moment?
Yeah, oh, yes, waiting. No, none of that. And and I didn't, all this time, or during this time, I didn't know he'd been meeting with a lovely friend of ours who's a jeweller to plan the engagement ring. And one particular weekend, my mum had rung saying, oh, listen, can Petey come round? I can't get my computer. It was her old computer down the stairs. She lives in a little terrace. I need him to come round and help me with the computer.
Must have been a big computer back in those days.
It was. No, it really was. Those Macs that kind of go, those really big square boxy ones. And Petey's like, oh, okay, all right, really? Okay, I'll go round. So early in the morning he's went round to Mum's, and Mum opened the door and she said, oh, thanks so much. This is really lovely. And Peter's like, yeah, I've got better things to do. And Mum almost fell through the floor because Petey's never rude. It was like, what? And Mum went, oh, really? Like what? And he said, well, like propose to your daughter. And Mum went, oh, don't worry about the computer. Off you go. Go back. Go. And also the other thing that had happened was my dad, Petey had asked my dad for permission for my hand in marriage, which I thought was so lovely, old-fashioned but beautiful. And it was my dad was so touched. And when Petey asked Dad said, well, when are you going to ask? And he said, I'm going to wait till next weekend. And Dad went, no, you're not, because if you don't do it this weekend, I will tell everyone, because Dad can't keep a secret. So
much for on Pete's terms.
That's right. But still. So he then came back to my unit where he'd been staying with me, and I got out of the shower and not expecting anything. I got out of the shower, towel wrapped around me, walked into my little weeny, narrow sort of hallway, and Petey was there. And I said, oh, did you help Mum? He went, oh, yeah, helped your Mum. And then he took me in his arms, and I started to think, oh, what's happening? And then I started to have a bit of an out-of-body experience, thinking, I think this might be the moment. But because I was having the out-of-body experience, I wasn't listening properly. So then I was thinking, has he asked? And then I thought, oh my God, he just asked me,
Yeah.
did I want to marry him? And I was like, yes. And then sobbing and all my mascara's going everywhere.
You just got out of the shower. You
just
still
got
got
out of the shower.
mascara on.
Yeah, yes, I never take it off properly. It can never come off. It always seems to be there in drips. Don't you think? Doesn't yours stay on?
No, it's the tubular one that comes out in little clumps.
No. Then you can't do eyelash extensions.
Is that
if
what
you've
you've
got tubular things? No, especially for you today, Mia, I stuck on, normally I wouldn't do this, but I stuck on false eyelashes for you
They
this
look
morning.
amazing. I thought they might be extensions.
No.
So you've got mascara running down your face. You've got your towel around you.
Yes.
You're in your hallway.
Yes, out of body thinking, did he really say what I think he
I
said?
hope he did before you said yes.
And I said yes and screamed yes, and it was just wonderful. And we rang all our family and friends, and now we've been married for 14 and a half years.
Did he have expectations of what kind of wife you would be?
No.
He knew you pretty well.
He did know me well. And Petey would say this, I have opened Petey's eyes up to a lot of life and what happens in life. He's got the most beautiful family, and they are such a tight, incredible unit, and they're still together. His parents are still together. He had a really happy early life and didn't really have any problems in the sense of things went the way they were meant to go. And so for him, his first real hurdle was being divorced. That was sort of, oh my goodness, this isn't what I had imagined would happen in my life. And that was his first real struggle. So for me, who'd had a very different sort of early life, he had
a mother who had mental illness.
That's right. My mum, who's got bipolar. So, growing up with my mum, who's an amazing woman, but that was hard. There were many times when I was younger and then in my teenage years where it was a real struggle. And I learned...
For you or with her?
For all of us as a family. It was a real struggle. And mental illness, as you know, Mia, impacts on so many families and on kids. And kids are frequently the sort of hidden carers for their parents, and often and I was lucky. Our family was incredibly blessed because even though my parents had divorced when I was young, my dad was still very present. And so we would go and stay with my dad every second weekend. When mum was unwell and frequently in psychiatric hospitals for months at a time, we were able to go and live with my dad and my stepmum. So we had still this incredible circle of love and support around us.
And security.
That's right. And for a lot of kids and families, they don't have that. So even with that security and love and support, it was still hard. But because of that, you learn a lot about yourself, about resilience, about bravery, and just about life, that life is messy and complicated and not simple, and nothing is what it seems.
So Pete had grown up in a very traditional family, low drama, no drama, or just the usual kid drama. And so meeting you and understanding the way you'd grown up opened his eyes.
Oh, most definitely. And especially in terms of mental illness, he now has become an incredible advocate for mental health and supporting men and supporting families. And he was unaware of that component of many people's lives until he met me, until he met my beautiful mum and of course then when I had the postnatal depression, all of those sorts of things, it opened all of our eyes, but it very much, for Petey, opened his eyes to the big, wonderful, complicated world.
He had a template, I guess, for how a functional family should operate and how a mother and a father and children and how it should all operate. You didn't. So what were your expectations of family life and the life that you'd have together?
It's hard to think that's a tricky one, because now I think I've got my beautiful family. My expectations were I wanted to have a family. I wanted to create a nurturing and loving environment, which is very much what my mum did, but I really wanted to be as present as I could be as a mother. And
What does that mean to you?
what that meant to me, and it's changed, when I first became a mum, I used to think I had to be happy all the time, and I had to be really almost tap dancing the entire time. And that was a reaction against what had happened when I was little, because although Mum was when she was well, was very present, there were times when she wasn't. And I wanted to give my daughters a much more constant home life. Even.
But you pitched that at a high positivity level constantly. So almost like you were like the guy on the Love Boat.
That's right, the entertainer. Exactly.
Entertainer.
Which is absurd.
In charge of guest relations.
That's right. Hi, isn't it great? Hi, everyone. Isn't this fun? Oh, wow. Oh, how interesting. Yes, let's talk endlessly about that beetle on the ground. Wow, isn't it great? Oh, yes. Oh, interesting. Yes. And
Let me push you more on the swings.
yeah, I can't wait. Oh, it's so terrific. And I hated all of that. And I can say that now, but at the time I thought, oh, no, I've got to be really involved. And, oh, sure, let's invite these other children around, even though I don't want to entertain other kids. I don't want to have play dates, but, I better do that because, yes, I want to do that and make sure there's healthy snacks and just all this nonsense. So for me, early on, I thought I had to always be chirpy and cheerful, but realising that is as, not damaging, but that's not useful or helpful either to me or to my children, because you want to teach your kids how to regulate their emotions. And I realised what I was doing wasn't regulating my emotions at all, because they would see me being crazy happy when there really mightn't be anything to be that crazy happy about. So that has taken a lot of time for me to be comfortable with showing my girls that I can be sad. It's okay to be sad. It's actually natural to be sad when something happens. If something awful happens, yes, you're going to be sad. Or it's okay to be cross. You're going to be cross if something happens that really gives you the shits. So I can't believe I said shits. That's as sweary as I ever get.
Really?
Yes, I don't swear. But,
Really? I bet Pete doesn't swear either.
He does.
Does he?
Yes, he does.
Oh.
Even more so when he comes back from doing a story. Yes, it is. And I say, listen, you might talk like that at work, but we don't talk like that at home.
How interesting.
Yeah. And it's the girls, they know, so they'll then swear a bit because they know I don't like it. And they'll say, but Daddy says it.
Yeah.
And actually Giselle, was it Giselle or Allegra? It might have been Allegra. It was Allegra at the supermarket, said to one of the checkout ladies, I wasn't there, but Petey told me later, Petey and the girls were there. And Allegra went, do you know my daddy smacks me and says the F word? And Petey's going, oh, no, I don't really smack maybe a few times. And then he came home saying, I can't believe she said that to the checkout operator.
Fantastic. How old was she?
Oh, maybe she's 11 now. She was maybe 8, I think.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah. But what was I saying? Yes, about the regulation. So I now am much more sort of aware of regulating my emotions. So not putting it's as unrealistic to teach my daughters to be cheerful all the time when that isn't life either.
More with Jess in a moment, but first, a message from our sponsors of today's show. I wanted to ask you about the relationship you have with fashion and clothes and hair and everything. You're such a woman after my own heart in terms of you have an almost childlike enjoyment with dress-ups.
It's exactly it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Is that what it is for you?
Oh, most definitely. I love fashion for the pure costume and theatre element. How cool did Katy Perry look at the Met Gala with those wings?
Oh, yeah, wings. I would love to wear. I wish I had a reason to wear wings.
I know, but I don't even think we need a reason. I was saying to my daughters the other day, I went, right, I'm going to wear this to school pickup. And they're like, no.
How do they feel about your fashion sense?
They like it. Allegra she loves an outfit as well. And Giselle is just starting to get into clothes a little more, but she's far more practical. She's probably more Petey in the sense that she just likes her shorts and T-shirts. And and she's got her favourite shorts that she'll wear and wear and wear, even though they're so small, but she wants to keep wearing them. And her favourite T-shirts that are getting smaller, but she loves them. But she does like to put on makeup. They both like to wear sort of, it's not surprising really, but they've got their own little unicorn eyeshadows that they put on and some lip gloss and things.
The difference between you and me, though, is that I love getting dressed up, but I am also often like completely schlumpy. I don't know what the actual definition of schlumpy is, but I think you can get what I mean. Like I'll wear no makeup, tracksuit, whatever. I don't feel that you have that side.
At home, yes.
Do you?
Oh, not out. There's no way I would wear a tracksuit. Well, no, I wouldn't wear a tracksuit in public, but Is
that because you're famous now? Like were you like that before you were famous?
Like that.
You never would have worn a tracksuit in public.
No, but mind you, I did wear overalls when I did work experience with Petey, big loose overalls.
No, but that was the 80s or the 90s. That was trendy. That was like a Bananarama look.
Yes,
remember?
It was. Yeah, I love Bananarama.
So did I. That was like a cool thing. But so you've just got a sense of when you leave the house, you have to present in a certain way. Is it like armour?
Oh, most definitely. And for me, it's not a pressure that I feel I have to do to meet other people's expectations. It's something I do because I love it. Yeah. I love it. I love sort of in the morning going, oh, what do I want to wear today?
Who do I want to be today?
Yes. What do I want to project today? What can I put on to make me feel either lift my mood or protect me or present a particular image? It's wonderful. But I do have, not schlumpy, like you were saying, but I like to wear, once I get home, once I finish for the day, I love my jammies.
Are they glamorous though?
Well, they got cats on them. They're not glamorous, but they're comfy. They will have a theme though, in the sense that, because I'm a crazy cat lady as well.
So you won't wear like an old T-shirt of Pete's and some...
No, but they're, pussycat jammy pants. I've got lots of pussycat T-shirts that I'll wear. And dressing gowns.
Your hair's always been short though. I don't think I've ever known you, and I've known you for maybe 25 years or 30 years or something.
Yeah.
And you've always had that short hair. Why?
Because I love having short hair. And early on in my career, I was determined not to have the broadcast bob. I thought, no, I don't want to have that. That used to be, I can't stand Jennifer Aniston, but that like hair, and so I thought, no, I'm not going to have long hair, and it's just stuck.
Why can't you stand Jennifer Aniston?
Oh, well, I can't stand it. Well, because Petey has a crush on her for a start. That's probably the main reason.
Why does that not surprise me?
I know, it's like that's his dream girl. I'm like, but that's very different to me.
She's very.
Petey like loves a rom-com. That's his ideal movie. A Jennifer Aniston rom-com. I'm like, oh no. So
she's very vanilla, isn't she?
Very
Jennifer?
Vanilla.
Yeah.
Who wants to be vanilla? And I'm a more Angelina.
I was going to say, your team
Angelina. Yes.
Tell me about deciding to leave Studio 10.
Oh, you sent me such a beautiful note. I've still got that. I love that message that you sent me about just saying it's never, and you got it so beautifully, when it's never for what, for family or for one or the other. It's never as simple as that. I did a job that I loved. I'd been there for almost 5 years, but I knew I needed a change. My daughters are now 9 and 11. When I began that job, Giselle had just started school. I'd never taken her to school. And even though I'd pick them up in the afternoons, I was sort of around in the afternoons very much for them. I was getting to a point where I didn't like the person I was becoming, that I felt like I was forever running on empty. Adrenaline was keeping me going through getting up early, fronting up, performing, then doing the school pickup, all of that. And I was in the afternoons getting increasingly short with my daughters. And of course we all do that at different times because they can be annoying and irritating, but it was not a reasonable reaction to what they were doing. And I was finding on Friday nights I'd be drinking too much. I'd be drinking, I love a rosé. I still love a rosé. But I thought, I'd be exhausted, so I'd drink wine. I'd wake up on a Saturday exhausted, sort of stumble my way through the weekend with school sport, drop-offs for parties, play dates, all sorts of things, and then begin it all again on a Monday. And I thought, this isn't the life I want to lead now. And I want to be around for my daughters and I want to be as present and good a mum as I can. And I knew that if I kept going the way I was working, I wouldn't be that.
From the outside, it would seem that the job that you had at Studio 10 would have allowed you to be really present. So you got up, had to be at work at what time, 6, 7?
Yeah, 6:30 makeup.
Okay, so you had to get up. I imagine they were still asleep when you left, but work was all done and dusted by what
midday.
time?
We'd finish on air at midday, so I'd get out of there by 1.
So you got to pick them up from school every day? That's something that a lot of mothers don't get to do. And then you'd have to go to bed early, but not like with breakfast TV where you have to get up at 2:30 in the morning. So where were you feeling that it wasn't working?
All different areas. I think it's that cumulative exhaustion. So yes, and when I began the job on Studio 10, it was fantastic. I had spent a lot of time before that job really grappling with my work identity, wondering if I'd ever work on television again, and trying to reinvent myself. So Studio 10 came at the most wonderful time because it allowed me to be myself, to become more and more comfortable with myself, and do that on telly, to be passionate about issues that I feel really strongly about.
It's such a perfect job for you. I was so excited when I heard that you'd got it. It was like I could sense that you were wanting to lean in to your career for a while. The girls were, at school and it felt like such a perfect thing for you, and you could see how much you loved it.
And I did. And you're so right, Mia. It was that sort of lean-in moment where I thought this is an opportunity that I've got to take. And I loved it. I grew very much as a person. That job helped me feel more comfortable with myself. It made me embrace my vulnerability more because I'd talk about that on TV, and then the feedback that I'd get from people encouraged me to do it more because it was, yes, that's how we feel. That's how I feel. And so, it was wonderful for a time. But like so much in life, things change and circumstances change. Your kids grow. Their needs change, as do mine. And with Allegra now 11, she's a tween. She's almost, the way she's behaving with her, which is very normal, but she's almost a teenager with the sorts of things she's talking about, the things that she wants me to be involved with. And I want to be there for that. I know sooner rather than later, both of them, I'm embarrassing anyway to my daughters, but sooner rather than later, they won't want to have a bar of me. And I know the importance for me of sowing the connections now. So when they do go their wayward ways, as we all do as teenagers, I want them to know that I'm there though, and that I'm there for them, that we've already forged the connections, that I want to be their number one, and they know that. But I had to make a change in my professional life to do that, and I do know how lucky I am, Mia, because I also have a very supportive husband who has a great job, which enables me to have the choice to step away. And I do know that for many, many women, that is not an option. And so I know I am very grateful for that. even more so because I know how lucky and grateful I am, I thought I have to take this opportunity. I have to make this really hard decision. And whenever we make big decisions in our life, there's never an easy answer. That's why they're the big decisions. That it's never clear cut. This is what I must do. No, this is what you must do. I thought long and hard about it, and I think I procrastinated and wavered for 6, 7, 8 months about what I was going to do. And for me, it really crystallised last Christmas when we went on a family holiday, and it was just the 4 of us, and we had the best time. We were all present. We were happy and lighter, all of us. And I know holidays that's not realistic anyway, to always have that holiday feeling in general life. But I thought there's some of this that I can bring back home with me. And what I can bring back home with me is how I feel about my life and the sorts of choices I can make about what is important to me now in my life. And then I went back to work because initially I said to Petey on the holiday, right, I'm leaving work. And he went, really? do you think – because he'd heard me talk. I'd chewed his ear off for months as I had a couple of my close friends. They knew, I was like wavering here and there. And he said, really, are you sure? Because he knows the sort of person I am. I do – thrive on being busy, on having a purpose.
Work is a part of your identity.
Of course it is, a
strong
big part. And so he worried if I didn't do that, what would that mean for me?
Did you think that through?
I listened to what he said and I thought, yeah, I'll think about that. And then so I went back to work in January and then worked a few more months and then that was when it was clear to me that it was time to step away, because it wasn't as if it suddenly – those sorts of feelings that I'd had before the holiday were still very much there. And I thought something has to give. And for me, it was taking a step back from my career and reassessing what's right for me now. And again, that I'm not saying that is right for everyone. And we all need to make choices that work for us and for our families.
I can see that you're like almost popping in some disclaimers, because there's that sense of every decision a high-profile woman makes is made on behalf of all women, or says something about all women, or has something to do with feminism. Was that difficult when everyone sort of projected their own stuff onto you?
I don't think it was difficult, but it surprised me. And
what was some of the reaction?
First and foremost, there was so much positive reaction from many women saying, thank you for making this decision that I too have grappled with. And I too have felt I've had to explain or justify. Thank you for doing that. And then from other people, there must be a conspiracy, there must be a reason why. It's like, well, no, there's no conspiracy. It's as simple as me making a choice to spend time with my family.
Yeah.
And why I suppose I put those disclaimers in when I talk about it is I am a feminist. I'm a very proud feminist. But to me, my brand of feminism is about supporting the choices of other women. There may be different choices. They may not be what either I think or someone else thinks, but my brand of feminism is saying, yes, I support that choice of yours, even though it's not something I may do. And I'm also too mindful of not wanting to appear either smug or other women thinking, oh, well, it's easy for her to do. And I want to make that point. Yes, I know that there's a lot in my favour that makes the decision easier for me. But, of course, there is still a part of me that thinks, well, what does that mean for my career and me? But I'm a huge believer in taking a risk. I've done that in my life, both personally and professionally. And it's when we take those risks, when we just take that step out of the blue, that other sorts of things present themselves. And that's what I'm excited about. So I'm not by any means retiring, so to speak, and that's another interesting thing too, when people go, oh, so you've retired? And I go, no.
But I just don't understand this idea why it all has to be all or nothing. Like this idea of, or you choose your job or you choose your family. It's like sometimes you lean into work, sometimes you lean into family, sometimes you lean into your mental health. Our life is a process of kind of doing the hokey pokey, leaning in all different directions, isn't it? It's not like you choose one and then that's your choice, goodbye, the end.
That's such a fantastic way of putting it, Mia. I love it, the hokey pokey. You're so right, though. And life is never black and white. It's never all or nothing, is it? It's it is that give and take.
It's not to say that you're now going to become a domestic goddess and that's going to be your identity. But if you want it to be, well, then that's also fine. But this idea of you've closed one door to open another. You can have a few doors open at the same time.
And I'm always hopeless at closing doors. I always leave the door open. The cold air comes in. It's like, close the door.
I can't wait to see where all of those doors are going to lead next. You're going to, the world is better for having you in it.
Oh, thanks, beautiful. Thank you.
And your family's lucky to have you, but also so are we.
Oh, thanks. That's so beautiful.
It's true. If you want to see more of Jess, visit her website, craphousewife.com, or you can follow her on Instagram. I highly recommend you do, for a bit of dinner time inspiration that'll make you feel better about whatever you're serving up tonight. The No Filter podcast is produced by Eliza Ratliff. I'm Mia Friedman, and I will see you at home on the homepage, mamamia.com.au.